Welcome, everybody. Happy National Running Day. I'm Varun Sriram from Generation UCAN, and we are thrilled to have a great chat for you today. Joined by Meb Keflezighi and Gabriele Grunewald, two fantastic runners and two people that are going to share a lot with you this afternoon about their running story, tips on training, nutrition. We've got all that. We're going to cover it all over the next 45 minutes to an hour. Meb, thank you guys so much for joining us. How you doing today, Meb?
I'm doing well, thanks. Happy National Running Day. It's a great honor to be here with you guys. And, I'm in San Diego. Just enjoyed a nice 12-mile run. And it's nice to run a marathon, a half marathon this weekend. If it was a marathon, I would barely crawling out the door. But the advantage of doing half marathon is good because I'm very mobile. So it's what a great way to reflect and what running has done for all of us.
And Gabriele, you are joining us from Minnesota. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, and happy National Running Day to everyone. We just had a bunch of thunderstorms just roll through Minneapolis, so saving my run for later, and hopefully I'll avoid the thunderstorms. But if not, it'll be an eventful run for me today, it looks like.
That's right. And I'm joining everybody here from Brooklyn, New York. It was 45, 50 degrees yesterday, raining.
Wow.
Today it's bright and sunny. So after you guys inspire me this afternoon, I will be right out the door getting my run in. So it's great to have you both here with us. And, what better place to start on National Running Day than really taking it back to how you both got started in the sport of running. Now, Meb, for you over the last several years, many people have come to know your story. You've been a U.S. Olympian 3 times, ranging back to 2000, but really winning the Boston Marathon is what a lot of people know you now for in 2014, a really memorable win. Prior to that, you'd also won the New York City Marathon before, the only guy to do all 3. But where did it all start? Take us back to the very early days of your running.
My parents all wanted was an opportunity for their kids to come from Eritrea to Italy and came to the United States. And when we came to the United States, we didn't have the language, we didn't have the finance. We just want to make our parents proud and try to run, get A's in the classes. So for me, running started in 1988 when I was in 7th grade. The PE teacher said, if you take the mile run seriously, and if you run 6 minutes and 15 seconds for the mile, you're gonna get an A, and you're gonna get a T-shirt that says Roosevelt Junior High Mile Club T-shirt. And I won that A, so I ran as hard as I can. And to his surprise and my surprise, I ended up running that day at 5 minutes and 20 seconds. That's when my God-given talent was discovered. And he said, "You're gonna be an Olympian." I'm like, I don't know what the Olympics were. I grew up without electricity and running water, no TV, and so I didn't know what the Olympics were. So I went and asked my dad and Coach Duke Lord, who was the PE teacher at the time. In fact, I saw him this weekend. We're still in touch, and he had my future seen it. Some people can tell you you can be this, and if you work hard and be persistent and never give up, they can foreshadow your future, and that's what he did. And basically, I keep running year in and year out. I've been running for 25 years now. The reason for that is because I want to make sure that seed that was planted then, I want it to be maximized. And yes, people know that I won the Boston Marathon most recently, but I've been very fortunate to accomplish a lot of things since high school, collegiate, and professionally. But that 520 mile that was in 7th grade is what gives me hope, and that keeps me going. And now it's more like a habit, or a healthy way to live. And I'm very fortunate to be the ambassador for the sponsors and partnership that I have with companies to allow me what I do and encourage others to do the same.
And it's interesting, sometimes as the goals are the Boston Marathon, but there's always that goal aspect to running. With you, it started to hit that 520 mile all the way back in 7th grade. So even though the goals may have changed, the idea of running and preparing for a goal has always been there.
Most definitely. I mean, the goal is to get as many miles or as many exercises as you can, and I wanted to get that A. That's what it is. And for me, that was the goal, how it started. And then you want to be the cool kid and get a T-shirt also, and make some friends because I didn't speak English. So it was a lot of our schoolmates kind of made fun of me, and And so that was my kind of get me out of the shyness, that people started giving me high five and things like that. So, but that started, I want to be the number one guy in my high school, and then I want to be the number one guy in the league, and then eventually in San Diego County, and then hopefully state meet. And that happened eventually. It didn't happen overnight, but eventually by my senior year, there's a small progress that occurred. And then end up with UCLA. You're trying to make the only guy on you're trying to be the number one guy on the team, and then eventually you want to say, maybe I could win NCAA, and then eventually you want to be, I want to be an Olympian, or you want to be, hey, I want to be able to make the team, and then eventually say, hey, maybe I could represent our country and get a medal.
Gabriel, for you, last year was a big breakthrough, winning the national championship in the 3000, and really, burst onto the scene in 2012, just finishing fourth at the Olympic trials. And as your career's gone on, do you ever reflect back to where it started and how you got involved in the sport of running? How did you get involved?
Yeah, absolutely. It's fun to hear how everybody got started in running. So I like to hear, Meb's story. I'm at a different point in my career than Meb, but I think that every runner sort of has those key moments when you really got pulled into the sport and really got hooked and fell in love with running. So for me, I've been a runner for a long time. I don't remember exactly what the first, I remember fortunately having elementary and middle school cross country was really the first time that I got interested in running. It was more so like a social thing. I had friends who wanted to do it. I loved spending time outside, and I was the type of kid who liked to try like every different sport, and I had a hard time really picking the activities that I wanted to commit to. So running was just another thing that I did, and it wasn't until I got introduced to track running that I really kind of found like this is not only something that I think is fun and I can hang out with my friends, but I had a little bit of success, not anything crazy, but I think once you get a little taste of that, of something that you might have a natural ability in, I think it's really fun. And I was hooked right away to see, can I get faster? I really liked the idea of, if I put in a little more work, maybe I'll get a little bit faster. And for me, it's been really, kind of slow and steady progress. I ran for a really small high school from a small town, and, have always had pretty big dreams though. And I was so fortunate to, I won one state title that was kind of like a surprise. And that one state title for me was the confirmation that I needed to keep going with running. And I walked on to a Division I program at the University of Minnesota and was very grateful for that opportunity, but hadn't really seen myself as a Division I runner yet, and had to grow into that a little bit, and certainly never knew that I would be someone who was able to become a U.S. champion or compete for Olympic spots. So it has been a surprising and really, really fun journey, and I mean, running has helped me through some really awesome times in my life, but also just with some life experience and health issues, I have realized that running has just become, it's a part of who I am and how I deal with, all the struggles of day-to-day life. And I'm just really, really happy to be a runner. And National Running Day today is it's really fun to reflect on that.
And Gabriel, you alluded to it. I think one of the things that links perhaps you and Meb is that in different ways, it's pretty improbable that both of you guys are sitting where you are today. And with you, you alluded to some health challenges you faced, surviving cancer twice, and with going through that, what did running mean to you at that point in your life, and what has it meant to you as you've been able to deal with that and thrive after that? You've gotten past that.
Yeah, definitely. So I was a fifth-year senior and 22 years old when I first got diagnosed with cancer, and running was a huge part of my life, and I was so focused on school and running that when I had that health issue come up, I think I was surprised at how jarring it was. And it's just a shock to have to deal with a serious health issue when you're so young, because there's so many other things on your plate that are so important to you. But I think I was a little surprised that for a while there I had surgery and treatment, and I wasn't able to finish my track season, but I was surprised at how much running became a part of why I wanted to get healthy again. And it was a part of dealing with some of the day-to-day struggles of just the feelings of, being diagnosed with cancer and dealing with the treatment effects. And I think that I really discovered that my passion for running went deeper than just, going for a run or being on a track team. It was more about, it's a way for me to get out there every day and, clear my mind, and also just a way for me to feel like myself. And so when I was going through those cancer struggles, I had always had these dreams with running, but for some reason, getting diagnosed with cancer and, coming through that with good health, I really, it really motivated me to when I was able to get healthy again, that I really wanted to see what kind of a runner I could be, because I was so grateful for my health again and the ability to run, that I didn't take it for granted as much anymore. And, that really opened my eyes to, am I doing what I can to reach my potential? And, who do I want to be? And what type of person do I want to be? And also, what kind of a runner do I want to be? And it was the first time in my life that I thought about those questions, and, running was a part of the answer in all of those areas. So it was a, unique time in my life, but very grateful to have had running in my life to, motivate me and push me to find my best self again after those health problems.
It certainly does, speak to the therapeutic value that running can offer, and of course, we're thrilled that you're healthy, and that's fantastic. Meb, with you, also talking about the fact that a lot of people didn't expect you to be here with your upbringing and what your family went through. Leaving Eritrea during a war. Can you tell us a little bit about your background in terms of how your family came over here and some of the circumstances that they had to go through?
Well, it's very inspiring to hear Gabby's struggle, go over that and to overcome those things. Puts life in perspective. And for us, it's similarly that, been born in a third country, don't know what tomorrow will bring, a lot of uncertainty for the future. And all the parents wanted was an opportunity to get education. And, my dad has to walk 225 miles to save his life. Otherwise, he's going to be killed or imprisoned. So, and leaving behind, 5 kids and a wife and one on the way. And, struggle is always a struggle, whether he, from the hyenas, lions, scorpions, or, just putting enough food to put in his tummy to be able to survive to 225. It's not like when we run races, they have the support that he has. It's just unpredictable, and he was gunpoint at one point. That could have been the end of it, but fortunately, divine intervention didn't happen, and he made it to Sudan, and he worked as hard to maybe one day I could see my family again. We've been separated for 5 years, and eventually we got reunited in Italy. And when we were in Italy, I was the first one to come. I haven't seen my dad for 5 years. I went and gave him a hug, and he goes, "Marhawi." I'm like, "No, it's Meb." He thought I was my 4-year-old brother, 4 years younger, because of the way my height, my weight, and all that. So he was devastated. It's one thing to see day in, day out, but from image that you have in your head, what are you going to be? And it was devastating for him. But my mom kind of reeled him in to say, you know what, don't worry about the height or the weight. Just make sure, they're all here. Because for her, as a almost single mom, traveling with 6 kids and throughout overseas, first time on the flight, it was a struggle. Just make sure everybody's here. The rest can be okay. And basically coming to the United States, and also the same thing. Italy was a land of peace, but it wasn't the land of opportunity. So they wanted always a future for their kids where they can study and achieve great things, and that's what we have done. And we try to be a positive contributor to society. My running, but all my brothers and sisters also have accomplished great things through their academia to be able to be the best in their field. And it just, for a parent that started with 225 miles just to survive for his life and look back to what we have accomplished. Failure is one thing. You don't want to disappoint them, but at the same time, you just want to be the best that you can be, because so many people have sacrificed it for you. Some people have helped you to get where we are. We didn't make it. Sometimes you have to count your blessing to God and also pinch yourself. Is it really happening? And I have accomplished a lot of great races and wins, but at the same time, it's been ups and downs, and some people write you off to say you can't do it, but nobody can see the day in, day out, that work that you do. So therefore, only you can make that judgment. I'm getting close to my retirement now, but people, from the marathoning, that is. I still do half marathon and shorter races, but I know when I want to accomplish things, and I can call that day to say, you know what, I have been satisfied with my career, more than satisfied, is 100% complete. But at the same time, in 2008, when I had a pelvic stress fracture, I can even stand up. I was crawling on from my elbows and knees. And in 2010, 2011, beginning of 2011, when Nike dropped me, I went 8 months without shoe contract. And what do you do for? And then you go look back to that 7th grade PE class. You know what? I love what I do. It's part of me. Nobody sees what I do day in, day out. I'm going to show people wrong. And you know what? If you never give up on that dream, which at those two occasions it was easy to do, to just say, you know what, I just want to move on. But I believed in myself. I believe in my teammate, and I surround myself with good people and try to do the right thing. And there's great things waiting for you.
That's I've heard that story, and Gabriel was saying before that that she read your book, Run to Overcome, and a lot of that story is in there. But it does every time I hear it again, it does amaze me, kind of what your family went through and where you are. So it's definitely a credit, to your parents, your family, and to yourself. So you guys have a chance to know our two panelists here today a little bit. But while we have these two great athletes here as well, we have to pick their brain about some training and nutrition-related topics. So, Gabriel, I'll start with you on this one. We're kind of in the middle of the running boom right now, and it's been going on for the last few years. And with that, we have a lot of different people that are in the sport, and have people with a whole wide range of goals. Their goals are certainly different than what your goals are and Meb's goals are, but just on that topic of setting a goal, how important is that when you're in the midst of a hard training block? How much are you looking towards that end goal, and how do you sort of balance that with the day-to-day process and trying to remain consistent?
Yeah, I think that for all of us, no matter what we're sort of looking to accomplish in our day-to-day, my running is different than someone else's running might be. I have, we all have unique goals, but I do think that, ultimately when you're out there putting in those miles or getting in your cross training or making decisions to eat healthy, I think it's incredibly helpful to have those goals in mind. And, I work with a sports psychologist, and we talk about process goals and outcome goals and what you're looking to do, but ultimately both of those types of goals are super important. For me, I want to become an Olympian. I want to run fast, but outside of that, there's also just, the ways that running and my training contributes and helps my everyday life, and, just maintaining a healthy lifestyle and living an active lifestyle, and, trying to stay balanced in other areas of my life. All those different types of goals are important, but when I'm out there putting in the hard workouts, I'm certainly thinking about how this is going to help me in the future. Is this going to help me accomplish, my goal of becoming the biggest goals? And also just, I think both types of goals are, can be inspiring and motivating, but I absolutely think that goal setting for me is a part of every year, every season. It's important for me I have a training journal and write down what I'm trying to do. Some of them have to do directly with what I'm doing on the track, and, other are just lifestyle type of, changes I want to make. But I think there's always that moment in training when things get hard if you're pushing yourself, but if you have those goals and you know what they are and you can sort of, call those to mind in those really tough times, I think it can be very motivating. And I think it would be tough to run and train as hard as we do without, those goals being, present.
Meb, a similar question to you, but a little bit of a different spin on it. You alluded to the fact that after winning the Boston Marathon, from a elite running standpoint, you had kind of achieved those big goals that you had set out to achieve. So, now we're past that. You just competed in your first race as a Masters, winning the San Diego Rock and Roll, or winning the Masters title in the San Diego Rock and Roll half marathon. But coming off such an emotionally charged event and win like Boston, what types of goals, what keeps you motivated every day to keep training hard and keep doing the things that you need to do to keep your body in shape?
I mean, nutrition is important, and you want to work hard every day to be the best human being that you can be. And for me, yes, Boston was the capping for my professional career to just say, you know what, I have checklists all, medal, New York win, Boston win. I'm blessed to have those three that were my goals. And now that I want, can I win again? Nobody, of course you want to, nobody says you can't win them again or try to. And that's what it was for 2015 Boston Marathon. But at least you have a little bit more relaxed going into it. Just say, you know what, I don't have, whereas before it was like, I have to do this, I want to do this, a lot of more pressure. But now it's like, okay, I'm just going to have fun because I'm glad I got those wins. Whereas before it was like, well, I got to do it, got to do it, got to do it, got to do it. And to prove people wrong, maybe. But now it's just like, hey, I tell people like in funny ways that you look forward to turning 18 so you can drive, and then you look forward to turning 21 to go to bars, which for me I didn't care about, and then you look forward to turning 25 so you can get a discount on your insurance, and now turning 40 is good because there's less pressure of me anticipation to win races. But if I do it, I'm not surprised, but at the same time, it's less pain and or determination to be able to just be who I want to be versus I have to do it, I have to do it. And if I do it, it's all frozen decade. It has been that way for many years now. But what I keep doing it because I feel like I want to inspire others to do the best they can. It's not about winning and then call it a day, but I love to train, I love to eat right, I love to be able to just do consistently, so it become a habit. And that's what I've been doing. After doing it for 25 years, it's kind of new blood, whether it's to run 4 miles or 5 miles or still trying to win as a master. I talk about retirement sometimes. It's more for the marathon than it is for the sport, because it's in my blood. I'm going to hopefully exercise for many, many, many years. But the way I train for a marathon, put in 100 to 130 miles a week, and everything has to be this way and that way. It takes a lot of toll on my body and my family, and it's difficult to demand so much things. So that's why I kind of say maybe not the marathon when I retire, but other things, just half marathon. Like today, I just ran 12 miles. I can go another mile and make it a half marathon. Those are fun, and do with the people, help others, encourage the best they can be, maybe pace them or encourage them and coach them to be the best they can be.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw on that topic of mileage, just an aside, I think recently you'd uploaded on Facebook some data of a recent mileage of a recent month from your Epson watch, and did I see that right? 600 miles the last month that you covered?
Yeah. I mean, I do a lot of training, but also you have to understand that part of it is my elliptical that I keep track of it. So if you saw like 10, 15, maybe 120-mile run, that's on my foot. But if you see like 32 miles, at this age, I'm not trying to run my number of ages. I'm just trying to staying healthy. So yeah, but that's how it works. I could have said, hey, Boston is over, I don't have another full marathon until October or November. I could have take it easy, but at the same time, I always believe in doing cross training. It's what you do little by little is only going to help you for the long run. So and it showed that not long. I mean, April 20th was Boston Marathon, and now a little over a month I ran 62:29 for the half marathon, which is a tribute to hard work what I did before Boston. Also taking time off when you need to, and then retrieve those fitness back.
So yeah, I think on that, Gabriel, it's an interesting. We hear from the perspective of a marathoner with 100 to 130 miles a week. With you, you're primarily competing in the 1500, often the 5000. You competed in the mile. Of course, we talked about the 3000. So that range of the middle distances. What does a typical week or a typical month look like for you in terms of training mileage?
Yeah, I don't even know. I haven't added it up monthly, so I don't even know. But I can tell you that, I just try to, for me, it's been about not so much like mileage volume isn't like I'm not going for super high volume like a marathoner might be, but I have tried to increase my weekly mileage a little bit, each year as a professional, and I think that I'm now in my like base days of training. I'm running, trying to average 70 to 75 miles a week is pretty good for me. That's like a solid 6 days of training in there, averaging 10 miles a day, and I try to throw in a 15-mile long run, and that's what my, training looks like, and like when I'm doing higher mileage. But when I start to get into racing season, doing shorter workouts, sharpening up to do those shorter events, racing the mile and the 1500 and sometimes even an 800, and my mileage gets cut a little bit down there in the 60 mile a week range. It's still enough, but some of those miles are high intensity.
Outside of running, what else do you like to do to keep your body fit and keep yourself healthy in terms of cross training? What are other types of workouts that you're mixing in there when you're training 6 days a week?
Yeah, for me, running is always going to be the number one thing that I'm doing in my training with my coach. We really try to be running when we can be. During the off season, when I'm transitioning back to running, I like Meb. I use an elliptical also. Think that it's a great tool to get out, be able to go outside and, get in those miles. Sometimes if you're transitioning back off an injury, you'll see me on an elliptical or sometimes on an elliptical machine. But mainly I'm running. Sometimes, getting off my feet and taking out a bike is something that I'll do. But during this time of year, mainly running and resting. Definitely have done pool jogging too. If there's, if something's bugging me and I need to, get a workout in, but I don't want to be on my feet, I definitely do pool running as well. I've also been fortunate to use an Alter G at times, if anyone has ever used one of those. But those are things that for me really help during when I've ended my season and I'm sort of transitioning back into hard training to avoid injury. I don't want to be pounding every single day after taking a bit of a break. So those are things that definitely help me, mix in with running.
And what you mentioning avoiding injury, Meb, I'll give this one to you. So much of being a competitive runner, or for even the average person that's trying to train and get to the starting line of a race, really is staying healthy. And I know that your sort of stretching routine is pretty legendary. Very, very meticulous. So what are the types that running in terms of stretching and drills that you feel like really ensure that you get to the starting line healthy as often as possible?
Like when you are 25, 27 years old, you can eat anything and still metabolize as you like, and then same thing with training. When you are 25, 23, you can get away with so many things that are even to injuries. But as you get older, you get wiser and stronger. And back in the day, since says, hey, you want to go for a run? If you see him at the lobby of the hotel, oh yeah, give me 3 minutes. I'll go to my room and grab my shoes and ready to go. But now it takes me about an hour to get ready. It's the running part is the easy part, but staying healthy is the hardest part. And the older me would have, like on Monday this week after the half marathon, I would have run, but the wiser of me, though, now I just said, what, I'll take the morning off, and then I did my elliptical ride on, in the evening. So, it's very important to make sure you recover, make sure you get to the center line healthy versus, people usually have that forte to say, go the extra mile, go the extra mile, go the extra mile. That used to be back in the days, work hard or go home, but that's not the case anymore. You got to eat right, you got to have your nutrition right, you got to get your rest, but also you need to take it easy when you are on your runs, because hard days are hard, easy days are easy, but they're as important, and many people kind of forget that. And my goal now is, it's not, I've run close to probably 100,000 miles. Now it's all in that body. I just need to retrieve it, and if I'd rather be 80% going to the starting line than 101, and then not have a shot at it. So that's the mental thinking of, and I talk a lot about that on my new book, Meb for Mortals. Just be careful, get inside line. I was at Boulder this last weekend, and with busy appearances and things like that, I'm like, or run on pavement. I just said, what? Probably one day off is gonna help me than it's gonna hurt me. So I just took the day off, and I'm doing those more days now than before. It's like, oh, I gotta get it, and I gotta get it, and I gotta get it, and then it got me a lot of trouble. And then I had 2 ruptured quads, and then pelvic stress fracture and Achilles, and so you name it. I have all those injuries, but at the same time, because you want to achieve as an athlete, you want to achieve those. We're not slackers by any means, but we like routine, and we are high achievers, and you want to push. That's not always advantageous or the smartest.
And Meb, you referenced the new book, Meb for Mortals. And I'm happy to say that we had a ton of people sign up for this, and 3 of you lucky folks who did register are going to win a signed copy of that book directly from Meb. And really, we're exploring some of the topics that he writes about in the book, but it gives you a good chance to take some of the training secrets that Meb's evolved over the years and implement it, into your own running. Yeah, we're happy to have you to offer that up for the folks, Meb, and I think people will really enjoy checking out some of your secrets.
Well, thank you so much. It's not a secret, but just experiences through ups and downs, and they all reveal now. So whether you want to accomplish to just finish a marathon or a half marathon, or you want to perform a 5. Many people don't know that I was a miler to the 5K to the 10K, and because they see me as a marathoner, but it gives you an illustration of what you need to do from a 5K all the way to the marathon the last 4 weeks.
Gabriel, as Meb was, talking about things that he was doing differently at 25 that he does now over the years, I guess you're somewhat in that process of figuring out, there were certain things I could do, a handful of years ago, and now there are certain things that I need to hone in on. What are maybe, I don't know if it's easy to drill it down to a couple key things, but some things that you really found when you got more consistent with them, or when you really implemented a certain strategy that you weren't doing as a younger runner, really impacted your performance?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a couple things that have really been game changers for me and are helping me find out how to have longevity in the sport and avoid injury. I think that's such a big thing for runners at every level. We want to be out there running, and if you're injured, you're figuring out how to get back out there. And so if we can just stay healthy, that would be ideal for most runners, me included. And fortunately, since my running career started back when I was in high school, I have 2 physical therapists in my family. My dad is a physical therapist who used to have his own clinic in my hometown, and my younger brother became a physical therapist recently. So those, having those 2 people in my immediate family has been really nice, because they're, 2 people I trust and have a lot of knowledge about how the human body works, and have helped me gain insight about my own body through, some of the injuries that have come up. And I've found out that I am pretty inflexible, and sort of probably surprisingly so for someone who's, my gender and my age. I'm probably less flexible than the average person. So for me, just really being aware, day to day, like my hamstrings can get really tight, and that can cause a lot of other problems. So, and also my calves. So for me, stretching post-run is something that I didn't used to care about too much when I was younger. I could just do my run, go to the next thing, and no problem. But as I put greater demands on my body through working out and training at a high level, I've realized, that's not something I can skimp on. I'm sure Meb, his stretching routine has probably changed and grown over the years, and mine probably will too. But that's one thing that I always know for me, that I have to stay on top of that. And on that same note, I think a lot of my injuries that I've had, have just been like lower leg injuries, foot issues, Achilles, just small things that, a lot of strength issues can go back to the hips and the glutes, and, doing some dynamic warm-ups before you go run. And also, just for me, I have to be aware of hip weakness is something that I always am working on. Being strong through the hips can help me maintain my form through all those miles and not put any extra strain on the other tendons and ligaments all the way down that chain. So I guess that would be my tip, would be to, make sure your hips are strong and you can, sustain your training. I have a little routine that I do before I go run. And, if I'm feeling like something's hurting or like I'm breaking down during a run, I'll fit that in more times throughout the week. And I guess third thing is just, nutrition. Back in 2011 is when I started trying to explore more. I was first-year professional, and I knew that I didn't quite have my nutrition figured out. It was something I was still kind of guessing at, and fortunately, I was able to, figure out what Generation UCAN had to offer through social media. I wanted to learn more about it, and it's been really awesome for me to spend almost all of my professional career having Generation UCAN as a sponsor and as a a big part of my training, taking the question mark out of how I'm going to prepare and fuel my workouts and recover after those hard workouts and races. So those are my
on
big
that topic,
three.
yeah, that's great. And you just did my job for me, because in transitioning to nutrition, that was the next
Nice.
topic I kind of wanted to talk about. So it's a great segue. It's almost
Great.
like a practice that.
Yes.
So in talking about nutrition, that's something that certainly Meb, I know you mentioned too that it changed from the time where you were 25. When you were kind of able to fuel with whatever you wanted. It might not have been as big of a focus. And with UCAN here, we're celebrating 5 years of UCAN recently. And Meb, you were nice enough to be able to join us right before the Boston Marathon, where we launched UCAN back in 2010 with you alongside. If you can take us back to 2010, Meb. How did UCAN come on your radar? Initially, how did you hear about it, and what intrigued you about it?
Well, I used to work with Krista Austin, and previous 2009 and 2009, she says there's a new product called UCAN, and how it started with Jonah, the rare disease, and how it changed his life, and they were transforming to the athletics. And obviously, after I won New York City Marathon, I wasn't running a lot, but I'm making a lot of appearances. And one of my friend or teammate, Jen Ryans, is like, "Man, you're looking lean. You're running a lot. How many miles are you putting in?" I'm like, "Actually, I'm not running a lot, but I'm taking this Generation UCAN product, and that's about it." So I was doing very minimum run, and it helps keep me lean. And then basically, like you said, Varun, we just probably had like the packet. It didn't have the many labels of different of different colors or different labels, but we just started with the vanilla and chocolate, and basically gave it a shot. It just made a big difference. It gave me my energy up, and since then, basically 2009, I haven't touched anything else. I just every time, especially the protein, I'd done it before a race also in Boston. 2010, I believe, and then also just every tempos, hard run, or intervals, first thing that goes into my system. I mean, it's amazing. People often says they're sore the next day after we work out, but I'm like, I'm okay. And it's definitely credit to Generation UCAN. It's been definitely my game changer, and I feel as long as I can stay work hard and I can rely on the product. And I remember when we first talked, it was all about the regulation and all that stuff, NCAA and USATF or WADA, which it was great, and it's been a great product. And it's great to see now that 5 years later, it's done some amazing thing and different sports, and people are looking for it. Whereas it's nice to be in the original, to be able to just groundbreak with it, and we have come a long way, and I just feel proud to be part of a great team and what it stands for. And it was an amazing time when I won New York City Marathon. The Generation UCAN, it's a new era. So to have that name was very capturing, and it's just awesome to have such company to allow us to perform at a high level. And nutrition is important, and you are what you put in your system, and it's been amazing product for me to be able to work for the last 5 years.
Gabriel, I want to ask you a similar question, but I just realized there might be people on here when they hear Meb talk a little bit about UCAN that might not be too familiar with it. So just very briefly, when Meb was talking about Jonah, who UCAN was originally developed for, the uniqueness of UCAN that you see behind me is the carbohydrate in the product, which we call superstarch. And essentially, rather than giving that surge of energy like your simple sugars, it's giving you that nice, slow, and sustained release, keeping your blood sugar and energy very steady. So, from when Meb's talking about UCAN helping them get lean, really what's going on there is because the calories in UCAN, they're released so slowly, they're able to maintain your energy without having to take in a lot of calories. Meb, you were talking about using the chocolate UCAN with the protein after your hard runs. So what do you do? This is kind of a big benefit that you found in it. What types of workouts are you using this protein UCAN packet with, and what is it that you feel when you have it after a tough workout?
I think for me is that sustained energy, sometimes when I'm in Mammoth Lakes, I'm drive 40 miles away to do a workout, whether it's tempo run or intervals, and I have to get back home. And you don't want to be looking for food. What are you going to put in? But immediately before I even, talk about how diligent I'm about my stretching, but before I start my stretching, I will have my Generation UCAN. That will give me 2 to 3 hours of just, sustained energy. I can go back. I used to do the ice bath. I don't do them anymore, but I can do the ice bath and shower and get ready, or go to meetings and whatnot, or massage sometimes, and you're not feeling like, oh, I need to, where's the food? So it like you said, it's just even kill sustained energy. And as an athlete, you don't want to be in a rush to just, to go just put anything in your system, but all you need is 10 ounces of water and the Generation UCAN packet, and put it easily fits in your bag and have it available at your time. And I think it doesn't make you sore the next day. It doesn't, because you could do intervals, tempos on long runs, and it just makes sure it goes, since it's the first thing you put in your system, it helps you recover much more faster, so you don't feel the aches and pains.
Gabriel, I remember the first time I think you and I spoke. It was you told me a funny story, and I know I always bring this up, but I think you said in middle school or something as a runner. I guess like a lot of middle schoolers, it was the Snickers bar was to go to fuel. And I was thinking back. I remember before basketball practice. It was for me, it was a bag of chips and Powerade. You just already had no idea. Like you was just trying to get something in. But how did UCAN enter the picture for you? And how are you primarily implementing it into your training?
Yeah, definitely. Well, fortunately, I've changed a lot since middle school. But yeah, I think I was looking for the convenience of like some calories in a small like little package, and so I had like the little like party size Snickers, and I thought that would be like give me what I needed to not get hungry during my races. But yeah, so I've changed a little bit since then, and it was interesting for me because there's always that some people I don't like to feel full or hungry when I'm on the starting line for a race or a workout, so it was always tough for me to find the right timing for my final meal before I'm going to do a hard workout or a race, and I couldn't quite get that right. And so sometimes I would be not having the desired feeling in my stomach on the start line, or I'd be afraid to upset my stomach, so I wouldn't eat enough and I wouldn't feel strong enough through my whole race or my whole workout. So when I found Generation UCAN, I was mainly just excited to have something that is slow release and something that's not going to upset my stomach, that I can feel confident taking a little bit closer to my workout. And slowly I integrated it into using it before hard workouts and then before races. And really ever since then, I probably haven't stopped using it because it's been so nice to have something that is convenient, and I can mix it with water or do something else with it. Usually I keep it simple and I just mix it with water before and after. But I just like that it took the guesswork out of, when am I going to have this meal? Should I have a bagel? Am I still hungry? And just, something that I can rely on that's not going to upset my stomach. And it really like tops off my stores of nutrition. I feel like I always am a person who has that feeling that no matter if I've eaten before the hour before my race, I'm like, oh, I kind of feel hungry. And I don't know why, and as soon as I have my Generation UCAN drink, I'm like, okay, I feel good, and I'm ready to race, whether it's a short, fast race or 5K or longer, or a long run. That gives me the same feeling every time. And taking also learning more about recovery, really repairing the damage that we do to our cells after a hard workout or a race. I think that it's awesome to get in protein recovery afterwards, and it just definitely. You get that protein in right away within that window, and then it's like I can have a normal-sized meal later rather than, if you miss that window. I remember feeling in college like so hungry an hour after my practice when I got home. I feel like I would eat a meal that was like way bigger than I actually probably needed just because I missed that like really important recovery window. And so it's made a big difference in how I do things and how my body is feeling before and after workouts and races.
So we talked a little bit about, fueling in the context of workouts. Meb, I'll start this one with you. How about the daily nutrition? What are some tips that you've tried to follow, to help keep you lean, to help keep you fit, in terms of your daily nutrition, and how has that evolved for you over the years?
Oh, nutrition is pretty powerful. I think the light switch went on when I was in college. I used to have like 6,000 calories intakes, and I was in Eritrea. We were so poor, we didn't have food to eat, so I was making up for lost time, and that didn't go very well with me because I just gained a lot of weight. But the exercise physiologist says, track down what you eat and track down how much exercise you're doing, and he says, you're lucky you run, you're lucky you got a good genetics, because otherwise you'd be obese. So for me, that was a switch of light that I need to do something about it. And nowadays it's just more, as I get older, my metabolism has slowed down, and I don't take as much calories anymore. And so, it has a balancing act. And I will have my Generation UCAN after I come back, and then 2-3 hours later I'll have eggs or omelet or scramble, and then eventually I'll have in the evening, whether I'm going for a tempo, I'll have brown rice. It's everything brown or wheat now, because as you get older, which I didn't understand before that, but as you get older, things in your system are not too friendly with gluten, I guess. So I'll have pasta, whole wheat, or brown rice, and then the morning before I go for a run, I will have a bagel, whole wheat, or a toast with almond butter or honey, things like that, or a banana. Depends how far I have to go for the workout. Sometimes, like I said, if I'm in Mammoth Lakes and it's snow and I got to go 40 miles for it, so you want to have measure enough energy, and then obviously afterward, you make sure you periodically snack throughout the day. But if I have Generation UCAN, I'm not in a rush. Like Gabrielle said, you want to eat more than you want to, because that sensation of hunger is there. But by having Generation UCAN, you're like, you know what? I can even spare another 45 minutes if you have a quick meeting or you want to stop by the grocery store and get something. Whereas before, you're like, oh, they told you don't go hungry to the grocery store because you can put everything in that. in the case, but the same thing with that. So that way, it kind of helps you be, at ease, and you can take your time, whether you need to stretch, whether you need to go to the grocery store, or you need to do a few other things, errands, before, instead of just looking, oh, where's the food, and that has changed a lot toward me. And nutrition is important. You are what you put in your system, and if you're looking for the optimal performance, then you want to do, because you train so hard, you're trying to do so many investment on your time and energy, and nutrition is part of that element that you want to be able to pay attention to.
Gabrielle, how do you kind of go about your daily nutrition in terms of putting your meals together, figuring out how many times a day to eat, how much to space it apart? How do you think through that?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely, am sort of not following any particular diet. I eat gluten, I eat carbs, I eat fat. I kind of just, for me, my philosophy is just, I try to, be disciplined in my diet and try to have a lot of variety of food in my diet. I done a better job, since for some reason in college and previous to that, it was hard for me to get enough, fresh fruit and vegetables in my diet, and I feel like I was, missing that aspect of things. So, gradually just adding that in, adding in a salad here and there, especially when I'm, trying to get into my peak season. It's kind of being more aware of, all the different types of things you can take in, but I feel that I need a good amount of carbs to sustain my training, so I'm always looking for, whole wheat, whole grains, but I will do pasta at night, brown rice, lots of different, experimenting with quinoa dishes lately, sweet potatoes, normal foods, trying to eat healthy fats, through fish and salmon and avocados, are things that I've, been more thoughtful about keeping in my diet, and things that have, helped me to see food as fuel more in the last few years. But I keep it simple. Like when I'm, this time of year I'm traveling a lot, so I like to have food with me that, just in case I can't find what I'm looking for on the road, I know that I have, my packets of oatmeal. I can bring bananas with me for in the morning, or have a piece of toast. I always bring almond butter with me wherever I go, just for a snack here and there if I need it. lunches are pretty simple for me. I try to keep it simple because a lot of my hard workouts I'll do in between lunch and dinner. So I'll do like, turkey sandwiches, tuna sandwich, with maybe a salad or fruit or something on the side. And then, yeah, I take, eating red meat every now and then with dinner. I definitely do that, fish, chicken, lean proteins. It's, try to keep it simple, try to have variety in my diet. I think that helps me to, keep eating healthy, is to try to mix it up. And I'm always finding new recipes, checking out new things. And I think that's definitely helped me take my nutrition to the next level.
So I think key takeaway that's similar to what both you and Meb were saying is really that first of all, that balance between all the nutrients, the carbohydrate, protein, and fat. You guys are both implementing all that in, but just being conscious of keeping that balance. And also, it sounds like like anything, whether it's nutrition or training, it's really that element of preparation. Both of you guys are very conscious of when your next meal is going to be, where you're going to get it, and how to kind of plan your workouts and your day around it. And I think that's an important takeaway. It's like anything else. When you put the preparation in, you're going to have success with it, and that's no different with nutrition. Guys, we're winding down here. We just got about 5 minutes left. I want to close it out with a couple quick hit questions for both of you. So I'll pose them to both of you, and Meb, we'll start with you for this one. The coolest opportunity that running has given you?
The coolest opportunity that running has given me is travel around the world. I mean, who would ever thought I would be traveling to make appearances and then, influence people to be the best they can be. And then, once the president of the United States calls you and says, job well done, you have a good job. And for me to be able to go to the White House, have a dinner with President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama was, who'd ever thought, that 5 minute, 20 second, I thought I wanted to get an A, but it has transformed my life.
That's so well said. Gabriel, how about you? What's the coolest thing you've been able to experience through running?
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing that comes to mind, same as Meb, I would not have been able to travel to as many cool places as I've been. I had not left the continental U.S. until I became a professional runner, and I think I counted just the other day, and I think I've raced in 22 or 23 different countries. Not even just visited, but I've done a race there. So that is kind of mind-boggling to me because I never expected to do that, and that's super cool. The other thing is just, I have gotten to share my story with so many people and hopefully inspire and encourage so many other, people going through adversity, whether it's surviving cancer or something else, but just people who want to, live their best life, live a healthy lifestyle after, going through some hard stuff that life throws at us. It's been awesome to, reach out to other people who go through tough times and, encourage each other. It's just, it's been cool to do that.
Meb, we'll go back to you. So you mentioned the president, meeting the president. I don't know that it gets cooler than that, but no. who is maybe the person that you were in most awe outside of the president that you've met through the sport of running?
Oh, I mean, probably, Coach Tony Dungy is probably one thing that has ever happened, through the same publisher, Run to Overcome, and I was a big admirer of him and what he has done, how class active he is on the course and off the course as a football coach, and to be able to connect with him has just been an amazing. And and the different note is that President Jim Carter said he was a cross country runner, and when we were at dinner at the White House, and he goes, "You're the most popular person here. There's 2 presidents there, and just an hour what the win of the Boston Marathon has done for me. And if I have, stopped believing in myself or my team, or injuries that took over, most of my mentally for me that I thought, I thought 2013 New York City Marathon was going to be my last marathon. And if I didn't keep going, believing in yourself day in, day out, you wouldn't be where you are. And you don't know what those opportunities can open up. And for me, to be able to meet such people, whether as a president or Coach Tony Dungy and others that have pretty powerful people, has allowed me to be, in that caliber, to be able to just say, what, running has provided this for me. And it wasn't because, first it was to get 520, and then eventually, even though when you struggle and you're overcoming many obstacles, you have to look back, take 2 step back, say, what can I do better to be able to, why am I the reason I'm running? And then that can change everything.
Gabriel, how about you? The coolest person you've had a chance to meet through the sport of running?
I do not have as cool of a list as Meb, but I would say Meb is one of the coolest people that I've met. So I'm just going to stick with Meb. Lots of people I admire in this sport, but yeah, I have a ways to go before I can meet presidents and stuff like that. So hopefully soon.
Very kind.
Well, I'll give a second vote for Meb. I remember the first assignment I ever did for UCAN was a video shoot with Meb in Central Park. So Meb, you got my vote too. The coolest person I've met through running. Let's see. We got just 2 more for you guys. Meb, who inspires you? Was there anybody coming up as a runner that you look to for inspiration, or anybody that you turn to for inspiration today?
My parents are my inspiration to get the best out of ourselves. But in terms of sports, Jim Ryan was a guy that I looked at the interstate growing up, and then also Haile Gebrselassie, an Ethiopian runner who's done amazing things on the 2-time gold medalist and a former world record in the 10K and marathons. And I got a chance to meet him and hang out and be able to chat. And those are the 2 people that I want to be like like Haile. I want to be able to do very distance 5K, 10K, and marathon, just like he did at the world level. I want to be that at the U.S. level. And then obviously Jim Ryan, breaking 4 minutes as a junior in high school and keep going on and making an Olympic team. I grew up reading about those 2 guys.
Cool.
Gabriel, how about you? Anybody that was an inspiration for you as an up-and-coming runner, or that you look to now?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, mine's a little bit on a different scale, but being from small town in Minnesota, it's really special to me to have females from Minnesota like Kara Goucher and Carrie Tollefson, who went on to become Olympians and do some awesome things in our sport. And just they're 2 people that I always love. I love claiming them as Minnesotans, and their successes when I was middle school, high school, early college, I was really looking at them and saying, well, if they can do this, they're from Minnesota too, and if they can do it and take a crack at things on the world level, then that's what I want to do too. So it's cool. I've got that Minnesota pride. So
absolutely, that's a great one. And so last one for both of you guys. With today being National Running Day, a lot of people will use this day, to make sure they get their run in, and perhaps it might be easier for some folks to say, if there's a lot of big group events at different stores or with clubs, today might be an easy day to get out there and run, but it's not an easy day every day to get out there and run. So, Meb, what do you do when you just don't feel like doing it, but you got to get it in? How do you motivate yourself? What are some tricks you tell yourself to just get out there and do it?
The hardest part about running is tying your shoes and get out the door. And I've been training by myself for almost over 2 years now, all alone, and a lot of thinking, a lot of loneliness and whatnot. But at the same time, when it rains or in San Diego or when it snows in Mammoth Lakes, it's kind of hard to get out the door. I'm pretty sure Gabby can experience that from being from Minnesota. It's just getting out and getting it done. But you know that somebody else is training harder than you. If you skip it today, somebody else is going to get you. So you just got to get out the door. And I have a good friend of mine, Rich Levy, who lives in San Diego. He's 71 years old. Even if it's raining, he said, I'll meet you there, because once you get there, you're going to do it. But getting there is the hardest part. So meeting somebody to keep you accountability is huge. And for me, he just does that for me, because he knows that it's hardest part is getting out the door. And if I'm going to meet him at a certain time at the beach or something, running by the water, and then he knows I'm going to get it done.
Well, Meb, I think that's comforting for a lot of people listening into this, to know that you even struggle to get out the door sometimes. So I think that's a challenge that a lot of us, can relate to. So it's cool to hear that you go through that same mental battle. Gabriel, how about for you? What on those days where you just don't feel like doing it, what pushes you?
Or when it's negative 20 wind chill outside, yeah, absolutely. I think no matter where you are in your running, how fit you are or coming back from something, like the first mile, I do feel like is always the hardest. So if you have an 8-mile run plan and you don't feel like it or it's crappy out, I think it's like, tell yourself, okay, fine, maybe I won't do 8, but I'm just going to do half of that. And often you'll find yourself out there, and as soon as you get to that point, you do your whole run anyway. So it's kind of like, it is true. Like Meb said, lacing up those shoes, getting out the door is the hardest part. And if you need to negotiate with yourself a little bit just to get out the door, do it. Because once you get out there, you'll probably find that after that first 10 minutes of the run, you feel better and you're glad that you did. But yeah, for me, yeah, just like Meb said, if I'm not out there doing it, I know somebody else is. My competitors are. And fortunately, I've got my husband to accompany me on most runs, and we both get to catch up with each other's day at that point. So he's usually going to encourage me to get out the door. If I'm not encouraging him, it's the other way around. So it always helps.
Well, with that, I want to really thank you guys both. Gabriel, I know you got your run planned, so we will let you get to that. But it's been great spending some time with you. Thank you so much for joining us, Gabriel.
Thank you so much for having me.
And Meb, for you as well, it's really, really fun to have you guys both on here. Have fun picking both your brains. So enjoy sunny San Diego. Hope to see you soon. And thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks, everybody. That's Meb and Gabriel. This will be available via recording. You'll get a copy in your email. I want to thank everybody who gave up some of their Wednesday afternoon to hang out with us. I'm Varun Sriram. Have a great run tonight.